Alright guys, welcome back. This video I'm just going to cover whether or not you should buy an i30N in 2025. Now unfortunately, Hyundai have stopped making the i30N and the i20N for Europe, and I don't think they ever did them in America anyway. I think they only continued them in Australia. Yeah, so you can only get a 2025 i30N in Australia, I think, at this point. They discontinued them in Europe. So I'm just going to go over what it's like to own an i30N. So one of the first things I want to talk about is the fuel efficiency and the fuel on an i30N. How much fuel do I use a week? It honestly depends how hard you're driving it. If you drive this car aggressively and have a spirited drive, it's going to use up a lot more fuel, like a ton more than if you're driving it carefully. If you drive it carefully and you drive it eco-friendly, it's actually not that bad. You would average about 8 to 9 litres per 100 kilometers. And if you're driving aggressively, you could average between 13 and 14 litres per 100 kilometers. It can get pretty bad. In terms of range, when I fill this up to the brim, where the petrol thing clicks off, I get about 480 to 490 kilometers of range, and a full tank from empty would cost me about 65 euros. And as you can see in the average, I'm averaging 10.4 litres per 100 kilometers, and that's kind of a mix between spirited driving and also economic motorway driving as well. So obviously the next thing I want to talk about is the price of the car. The price of the car is a lot more affordable than a lot of the other competitors, like the Golf GTI. I think with the Golf GTI you're paying more for the brand name, because they're very expensive for what you get. This car is relatively cheap for what you get performance wise and comfort wise in the car. So this car at the moment is going for about 39,000 euros. The pre-facelift model is going for about, I think, somewhere around 32 to 35,000, somewhere along there. So it's not a huge difference in the price between the pre-facelift and the facelift models. I have to say I was kind of shocked with the price of the insurance with this car. It wasn't much more than my previous car, which was a Ford Focus, only a 1.5 litre diesel. And the insurance is only about 50-60 euros more on this one than the diesel car. And I think a big reason for that is that this is not like a V8 or a 6-cylinder engine. It's still only a 4-cylinder 2-litre petrol engine. So maybe that plays a role in it as well for the cost of insurance. And yeah, when it comes to the tax for the year, I'm paying 600 a year for the tax. Which in my opinion is not bad, considering a lot of BMWs are about 1,200 to 2,400 euros for the year. So 600 euros for the year on a 2-litre petrol engine is not too bad, considering the price on tax for diesels. Like, there's 2-litre diesels out there going for 400 a year tax. So with ownership for this car, I've had this car for about a year now, a year next month, and it's given me no trouble at all. It's been running perfectly. It's been regularly serviced. The only issue I'm having with this car is, you might notice the engine light there. This engine light has been going on for a couple of months. You plug it into the advanced diagnostics tool, the OBD scanner. It doesn't come up with anything. It comes on and off at the most randomest times. It will never go off when the car is driving. But if I turn the car off and turn it back on, there's a possibility the engine light could go out, and it could stay out for about 2 weeks, and then randomly it will come back on again. Service costs are fine as well. A full service with Hyundai on this car costs me 320 euros. I think it was, yeah, 320 euros for a full service. and the same as any other petrol engine, it's serviced every 10,000, every 15,000 kilometers as well. The one thing as well, the power delivery in this car is very impressive for the size of the engine. It is a fast car. I got to admit, it is a fast car. Coming off the line though, full throttle, because it is a front wheel drive car, you do get a lot of wheel spin. If this car was an all-wheel drive car like the Focus RS, it would be insane. So yeah, I think I've covered all the basics with owning an i30N. If you do want to own an i30N, I do recommend it. To sum it up, it's a relatively cheap car for what you get. In comparison to the Golf GTI, you get a lot more in this car for the price that you pay for. Yeah guys, this car, it's, as you can see, it's a lot of fun to drive. I don't get the feeling like other cars. It doesn't feel like a go-kart per se. Like, there is a bit of weight to it, but it is very, very fun to drive, and it can be very eco-friendly as well. You can use it as a daily. If you do drive it carefully, as most Hyundai models, you know, they have the normal mode, the sport mode and eco mode. If you put on eco mode and drive it carefully, you can get good fuel efficiency. But yeah, all around, to sum it up, the most expensive thing about owning this car is the fuel. Guys, thank you for watching the video. If you made it this far, if you have any video suggestions for me, please leave it in the comments.